Captain Lisa Morgan pressed her face against the small window of the shuttle. Below her, the planet Valdris Prime spread out like a green and blue jewel. Strange purple mountains rose from silver forests. 3 moons hung in the pale sky above. Them. "First time seeing an alien world?" asked Dr. Amanda Walsh from the seat beside her. The older woman smiled kindly. Her gray hair was pulled back in a neat bun. "First time this close," Lisa said. Her heart beat fast with excitement. 6 months ago, humans had made contact with aliens for the first time. Now she was leading Earth's first diplomatic mission to an alien planet. Lieutenant Kate Brooks sat across from them, checking her weapons one more time. The young soldier always looked ready for trouble. "Remember, Captain, we're guests here. No sudden moves." The shuttle pilot, a nervous man named Tom, called back to them. "Landing in 5 minutes. The aliens are waiting for us." Lisa took a deep breath. She had trained for this moment her whole career. Growing up on Mars Colony, she had always dreamed of exploring the stars. Now she was about to meet 2 different alien species on their home world. The shuttle touched down with a soft bump. Through the window, Lisa saw them waiting. The Eldari looked almost human, but taller and more graceful. Their pointed ears and silver eyes marked them as something else entirely. They wore flowing robes that seemed to shimmer in the alien sunlight. Beside them stood the Cathara. These aliens looked like walking lizards, but they stood upright like humans. Scales covered their bodies in patterns of green and gold. Their eyes were large and dark. Sharp teeth showed when they spoke. "Remember the protocol," Lisa said to her team. "We bow to show respect. We speak slowly and clearly, and we don't touch anything without permission." The shuttle door opened with a hiss. Lisa stepped out first, followed by Amanda and Kate. The air smelled sweet, like flowers she had never encountered. A warm breeze touched her face. High Priestess Sylvana Moonwhisper stepped forward from the Eldari group. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way. Her silver hair flowed down to her waist. When she spoke, her voice sounded like music. "Welcome to Valdris Prime, humans from Earth. We greet you in peace." War Commander Zarathik moved forward from the Cathara side. She was bigger than the other lizard-like aliens, with darker scales and scars across her arms. Her voice was deep and rough. "You are far from your small world, humans. We will see if you are worthy of our time." Lisa bowed to both leaders. "Thank you for welcoming us. We come seeking friendship between our peoples." Sylvana nodded gracefully. "Today we will show you something no outsiders have ever seen. The Temple of Eternal Vigil. It is our most sacred place." Zarathik's dark eyes studied Lisa carefully. "Many warriors have tried to prove themselves there. All have failed. Perhaps humans are different. Perhaps not." They began walking along a stone path that wound through the purple mountains. Lisa marveled at everything around her. Strange birds with 4 wings flew overhead. Plants with crystal leaves grew from the rocky soil. In the distance, she could see a great city with towers that spiraled up toward the sky. "Your world is beautiful," Amanda said to Sylvana. The scientist was already taking notes on everything she saw. "Valdris Prime has been our home for 20,000 years, the Eldari priestess replied. "But it was not always peaceful. Once, great darkness threatened all life here." "What kind of darkness?" Lisa asked. Zarathik spoke up, her voice serious. "Creatures from the void between stars. They came to devour all light and life. Our peoples fought together to stop them." "That was 10,000 years ago," Sylvana added. "The war was terrible. Many died. But in the end, we won. The darkness was locked away." They reached the temple as the sun began to set. It was carved from a single massive crystal that rose from the mountain peak. The crystal was clear as glass, but it pulsed with soft blue light. Stairs spiraled around the outside, leading to an opening at the top. "The starfire blade rests within," Sylvana explained as they climbed. "It was forged in that ancient war. Only the most worthy can claim it." "How many have tried?" Kate asked. "Thousands," Zarathik said with what might have been pride. "I myself attempted it when I was young. The blade burned my hands and threw me across the room." They entered the temple through the crystal opening. Inside, The walls glowed with their own light. Strange symbols covered every surface. In the center of the room stood a pedestal made of the same crystal as the temple walls. On the pedestal lay a sword unlike anything Lisa had ever seen. The blade seemed to be made of captured starlight. It gleamed and sparkled as if it held tiny suns within the metal. The handle was wrapped in leather that looked ancient but perfect. "Beautiful," Amanda whispered. "Dangerous," Zarathik corrected. "It has refused every warrior who tried to claim it. Eldere, Kithara, it makes no difference. The blade chooses for itself." Lisa stepped closer to the pedestal. Something strange was happening. She felt pulled toward the weapon, as if invisible. Hands were guiding her forward. Her heart began to beat faster. "Captain," Kate warned, "maybe we should keep our distance." But Lisa couldn't stop walking. The sword seemed to call to her without words. She had never felt anything like it. The feeling grew stronger with each step. "Human, stop," Zarathik commanded. "You do not understand what you approach." Sylvana watched with wide silver eyes. "Lisa, the blade has rejected all others. If it burns you—" Lisa reached the pedestal. The sword lay just inches from her hand. She could feel warmth coming from it, like standing near a campfire. The metal seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. "I have to try," she said softly. Before anyone could stop her, Lisa reached out and grasped the handle of the starfire blade. The moment her fingers touched the ancient weapon, everything changed. Light exploded from the sword, filling the temple with brilliant radiance. The crystal walls began to sing with a musical tone that seemed to come from the heart of the universe itself. Lisa felt power flow through her like lightning, but it didn't hurt. Instead, it felt like coming home after a long journey. The blade lifted easily from its resting place. In Lisa's hands, it weighed nothing at all. The light grew brighter, and she could feel the weapon's joy at finally being claimed. Zarathik staggered backward, her dark eyes wide with shock. "Impossible," she whispered. Sylvana fell to her knees, her face filled with wonder and fear. "The prophecy," she breathed. "After 10,000 years, the prophecy begins to unfold." Outside the temple, alarms began to sound across the planet. Ancient systems that had slept for millennia suddenly came to life. In the depths of space, something dark stirred in response to the blade's awakening. Lisa stood in the blazing light, holding a weapon of legend, and wondered what she had just set in motion. The alarms grew louder as Lisa held the glowing sword. All across Valdris Prime, ancient machines hummed to life for the first time in 10,000 years. The crystal temple shook gently, as if the planet itself was waking up. "What's happening?" Lisa asked. The blade felt warm and alive in her hands. She could sense its happiness, like holding a purring cat. Sylvana rose slowly from her knees. Her silver eyes were bright with tears. The old warnings spoke of this day. When the blade chose its bearer, the great sleepers would wake. Zarathik moved closer, her scaled face showing both fear and respect. "Human, do you feel anything strange? The blade speaks to its chosen one." Lisa nodded. Images flashed through her mind. She saw great battles among the stars. Creatures made of living shadow fought against beings of light. Worlds burned and died. "I see. A war. A terrible war." "The Shadow War," Sylvana whispered. 10,000 years ago, creatures from the void attacked our galaxy. They were called the Umbrathi. They fed on light and life itself. Amanda pulled out her recording device. As a scientist, she wanted to capture everything. "Tell us more about these creatures." "They were not like us," Zarathik explained. "They existed between dimensions. Our weapons could not touch them. They would appear from nowhere, devour everything living, then vanish back into the dark, the A. Temple's crystal walls began showing pictures. Lisa gasped as she watched scenes from the ancient war play out around them. The Umbrathi looked like shadows given form, with burning red eyes and claws that could tear through space itself. "How did you defeat them?" Kate asked. The soldier in her was already thinking about tactics and weapons. "We almost didn't," Sylvana said sadly. Billions died. Entire star systems went dark. But then the blade was forged by our greatest warriors and mystics working together. Lisa felt the sword pulse in her hands. More knowledge flowed into her mind. It was made to fight things that normal weapons can't hurt. It can cut through shadows and seal doorways between worlds. Yes, Zarathik said with surprise. The blade teaches you. It remembers everything from the war. Suddenly, the temple's alarms changed tone. A new sound joined them from outside, the rumble of spacecraft engines. Through the crystal walls, they could see lights in the sky. Our ships, Amanda said. They must be responding to the alarms. A communication device on Zarathik's belt crackled to life. A voice spoke in the Cathara language, rapid and urgent. The war commander's face grew grave. What is it? Lisa asked. Deep space sensors have detected something in the void sector, Zarathik replied. That region has been empty for millennia. Now there are disturbances. Sylvana closed her silver eyes and touched the crystal wall with her palm. I can feel it too. Something stirs in the darkness between stars. The blade's awakening has called to them. Fear crept up Lisa's spine. You mean the Umbrathi? But they were defeated. Not defeated, the priestess corrected. Imprisoned. Locked away behind barriers of light and will. But prisons can be broken if the guards grow weak. The crystal temple suddenly displayed a star map. It showed their galaxy, with the void sector marked as a dark region at the edge of known space. Red dots appeared in the darkness, growing brighter. Energy readings, Amanda breathed. Something is definitely happening out there. Kate stepped closer to Lisa. Captain, maybe we should get back to our ship. This is bigger than a diplomatic mission now. But Lisa found she couldn't let go of the sword. When she tried to set it down, it stayed firmly in her grasp. I don't think I can put it down. The blade has chosen you, Zarathik said. Until your task is complete, you are bound to it. What task? Lisa asked, though part of her already knew the answer. Sylvana turned to face her fully. The Eldere priestess looked both young and ancient at the same time. To stand against the darkness when it returns. The prophecies speak of an outsider from distant stars who would take up the blade when the shadows wake. But I'm just a ship. Captain, Lisa protested, I'm not a warrior or a hero. The blade thinks otherwise, Zarathik said with what might have been a smile. It has waited 10,000 years for you. Amanda was studying the star map with scientific interest. These energy patterns, they look like tears in space itself. Dimensional rifts, maybe? The images on the walls shifted to show more memories. From the ancient war, Lisa watched as Eldari and Cathara warriors fought side by side against the shadow creatures. But their weapons passed right through the Umbrathi like they were made of smoke. Only the blade could truly hurt them, Sylvana explained. It was forged with the life force of both our peoples. Light against darkness, creation against destruction. How many of these creatures are there? Kate asked. In the old war, they came in waves, Zarathik answered. First small scouts, then larger hunters, finally their great lords who could unmake reality itself. Lisa felt the sword grow heavier in her hands as more knowledge flowed into her. She saw the final battle of the ancient war. A figure wielding the blade stood against a massive shadow creature among the ruins of a dead world. The memory was too old and damaged to see clearly, but she could feel the desperation and sacrifice. What happened to the last person who carried this? She asked quietly. Sylvana and Zarathik exchanged a look. She saved the galaxy, the priestess said finally, but the effort burned her life away. She became one with the blade itself, giving it the power to seal the prison that holds the Umbrathi. Great, Lisa muttered. No pressure. The communication device crackled again. This time the message was in the Eldere language. Sylvana listened, her face growing pale. 3 of our outer colonies have gone silent, she reported. The last. Transmission mentioned strange shadows moving between the stars. Kate immediately activated her own communicator. This is Lieutenant Brooks calling Terra's Hope. Come in, Command. The response came quickly. Brooks, this is Admiral Torres. We're reading massive energy spikes throughout this sector. What's your status? Ma'am, we may have a situation. The aliens say something called the Umbrathi might be returning. There, was silence on the channel for a moment. Then the Admiral's voice came back, tense. "Brooks, get your team back to the ship immediately. We're receiving distress calls from multiple systems." Lisa looked at the sword in her hands, then at the worried faces around her. "Admiral, I don't think running is an option. This blade, it's connected to whatever's happening." "Captain Morgan?" The Admiral's voice was surprised. "What blade?" Before Lisa could answer, the temple's crystal walls flared bright red. An alarm unlike any they had heard before filled the air. The star map showed new red dots appearing throughout the galaxy. "They're coming through," Zarathik said grimly. "The barriers are failing." Sylvana grabbed Lisa's free hand. "You must learn quickly. The blade will teach you, but you need time we may not have." "Teach me what?" Lisa asked. "How to fight shadows," the priestess replied. "How to seal dimensional rifts. How to unite our peoples as the ancient warriors did." The sword pulsed with warm light, and Lisa felt its eagerness. It wanted to fight. It had been made for this moment, waiting 10,000 years to face its ancient enemy again. "Captain," Kate said urgently, "we need to make a decision." Lisa looked at the star map showing the spreading danger, then at the faces of her new alien allies. She thought of Earth, of all the human colonies that had no idea what was coming for them. "Admiral Torres," she said into the communicator, "we're not coming back just yet. There are some things we need to learn first. Captain, that's an order. With respect, ma'am, I think I just became something more than a ship captain. Give me 12 hours to understand what we're dealing with, then we'll need every ship in the fleet." The blade hummed approvingly in her hands as red lights continued to spread across the star map. In the darkness between worlds, ancient enemies began to stir. The war Lisa never asked for was about to begin. 3 days after Lisa claimed the blade, the first attack came. The human mining station on Kepler 442b sent out a desperate distress call before going silent. When rescue ships arrived, they found something that chilled every species in the galaxy, to their core. Lisa stood in the command center aboard the Eldoret vessel Starlight's Grace, watching the recorded footage. Where the mining station should have been, there was only empty space. Not destroyed, simply gone, as if it had never existed. "They don't just kill," Commander Zarathik explained grimly. She had joined the mixed fleet that now orbited Valdris, Prime. "The Umbrathi consume. They eat matter, energy, even the memory of things." Admiral Torres appeared on the main screen, broadcasting from the human flagship New Horizon. The older woman looked tired and worried. "Captain Morgan, we've lost contact with 2 more colonies. Whatever these things are, they're moving fast." Lisa gripped the starfire blade tighter. For 3 days she had been learning from it. The ancient weapon shared its memories, teaching her about the shadow creatures and how to fight them. But knowing and doing were very different things. "Admiral, have our weapons had any effect at all?" she asked. "None," Torres replied. "Plasma beams, nuclear missiles, even kinetic rounds, everything passes right through them. It's like trying to shoot smoke." Dr. Amanda Walsh looked up from her scanner readings. "The energy patterns are fascinating. They seem to exist partially in our dimension and partially somewhere else." "Hyperspace," Sylvana said from her position at the Eldoret. "Controls. They move through the spaces between dimensions. That's why normal weapons cannot touch them." Kate Brooks had been studying tactical reports from all 3 fleets. "So how do we fight something we can't hit?" "With this," Lisa said, holding up the glowing blade. "But I'm only one person with one weapon." "In the old war," Zarathik said, slowly, "there were more blades. 12 in total, each one bonded to a warrior from our peoples." "What happened to them?" Amanda asked. "Lost," Sylvana answered sadly. "Destroyed in the final battle when the prison was sealed. Only this one remained, holding the key to victory." The communication system crackled to life. A new voice joined, their channel harsh and mechanical. "Attention, children of light. We have returned to reclaim what was stolen from us." Everyone in the command center went silent. The voice continued, speaking in perfect galactic common tongue. "Your pathetic barriers failed as we knew they would. We have tasted your colonies, and we hunger for more." "Who is this?" Admiral Torres demanded. "I am Vex Morth, Herald of the Void. We remember your ancestors' defiance. We remember how they caged us in darkness. Now we shall feast on everything you hold dear. Lisa felt the blade pulse with anger in her hands. Images flashed through her mind, memories of the herald from 10,000 years ago. I know you, she said. You were there, at the end. You watched your masters fall. Dark laughter echoed through the speakers. Clever little blade bearer. Yes, I survived the prison. I have spent millennia preparing for this return, and I know all about you, human. The blade chose poorly this time. We'll see about that, Lisa replied, surprised by her own confidence. The transmission cut off, leaving the fleet's intense silence. Then new alarms began sounding as ships throughout the system detected massive energy spikes. Multiple rifts opening, the Cathara sensor operator reported. They're coming through everywhere. Through the viewports, they could see tears appearing in space itself. The rifts looked like wounds in reality, bleeding darkness into the normal universe. From each one, shadows began to pour out. The Umbrati looked different from species to species, but all shared certain features. They moved, like living smoke, with burning red eyes and claws that seemed to cut through space itself. Some were small as fighters, others as large as battleships. All ships, engage at will, Admiral Torres commanded. The three fleets opened fire together. Humans launched missiles and plasma beams. The Eldari fired beams of pure light energy. The Cathara used massive kinetic cannons. For a moment, the darkness was lit up like a deadly fireworks show. None of it mattered. Every shot passed harmlessly through the shadow creatures. The Umbrathi didn't even slow down as they swept toward the defending ships. Evasive maneuvers, Lisa heard captains calling throughout the fleet. Ships scattered in all directions, but the shadows were faster. They moved through space like sharks through water. The first ship to fall was a human destroyer. The shadows swarmed over it, and Lisa watched in horror as the entire vessel simply faded away. One moment it was there, the next it was gone without even debris left behind. We have to get down there, she said, heading for the hangar bay. Captain, that's suicide, Kate protested, following her. How can you fight a whole army? I don't know, Lisa admitted. But I have to try something. Zarathik intercepted them at the shuttle. You will not go alone, Blade Bearer. I am coming with you. Commander, your weapons won't work against them, Amanda pointed out. The Cathara warrior showed her teeth in what might have been a smile. Perhaps. But I am still a warrior. I will not hide while others fight. Sylvana appeared at the shuttle's entrance, carrying a strange crystal device. This is a life force amplifier. It may help the blade channel more power. They launched from the Starlight's Grace in a small shuttle, flying straight toward the largest group of shadow creatures. Lisa could feel the blade getting excited as they got closer to the enemy. There, she said, pointing at a cluster of medium-sized Umbrathi that were heading for a damaged Eldari cruiser. Take us in close. Kate piloted the shuttle with expert skill, weaving between plasma blasts and shadow claws. As they approached the first creature, Lisa opened the rear hatch. This is insane, Amanda muttered, but she helped steady Lisa as the captain prepared to jump. Lisa leaped from the shuttle into the vacuum of space, the starfire blade blazing in her hands. Her spacesuit's thrusters carried her toward the nearest Umbrathi. The creature turned to face her, red eyes burning with ancient hatred. The blade cut through the shadow like it was solid matter. The Umbrathi screamed, a sound that somehow carried through the vacuum and dissolved into nothingness. For the first time in 3 days, one of the enemy was truly dead. It works, Kate shouted over the comm. Lisa, it actually works! But even as Lisa destroyed one creature, dozens more turned toward her. She realized, with growing terror, that she was terribly outnumbered. The blade was powerful, but she was still just one person against an army. That's when something unexpected happened. As Lisa fought, other ships began moving closer, not to help her fight, but to watch. Crews from all three species saw a human woman floating in space, cutting down creatures that their most powerful weapons couldn't touch. I want to try something, Zarathik said suddenly. She began entering commands into the shuttle's systems. What are you doing? Amanda asked. In the old stories, the blade could share its power with worthy allies, but they had to be linked somehow. The Cathara commander looked at the crystal device Sylvana had brought. I'm connecting our ship's power systems to that amplifier. Sylvana understood immediately. If we can link our life force to the blade, through you. It's never been tested, Amanda warned. Nothing about this day has been tested, Zarathik replied grimly. They activated the device just as a massive Umbrathi, larger than their shuttle, swept toward Lisa. She raised the blade to defend herself, but knew she couldn't stop something that big alone. Then she felt it. Power flowing from the shuttle, from her 3 companions. Their life force merged with hers through the blade's connection. Suddenly, she wasn't fighting alone anymore. The starfire blade blazed brighter than ever before. When Lisa struck the giant shadow creature, the energy was so intense it destroyed 3 others behind it. The surviving Umbrathi pulled back, clearly surprised. Impossible, came Vexmorth's voice over the communications channel. The blade cannot channel multiple beings. We destroyed that knowledge. You destroyed the old knowledge, Lisa said, panting with effort. But you didn't count on something new. For the first time since the attack began, the shadow creatures seemed uncertain. They had planned for individual warriors with single blades. They hadn't expected the blade to evolve, to find new ways to channel power. Fall back, the herald commanded his forces. We will return with greater numbers. The Umbrathi vanished back through their dimensional rifts, leaving the 3 fleets battered but alive. Lisa drifted in space, the blade still glowing in her hands, and realized something important had just happened. They had found a way to fight back. Now they needed to find a way to win the war. 2 weeks after the first battle, representatives from all 3 species gathered on Valdris Prime. The Great Crystal Temple had been converted into a training ground where volunteers learned to link their minds with the Starfire blade. Lisa sat, in the center of the temple, the ancient weapon across her knees. Around her, 12 other beings formed a circle, 4 humans, 4 Elderai, and 4 Kithara. They were the first successful team to maintain a stable connection. Focus on the warmth, Lisa instructed. Don't fight the connection. Let it flow through you. Lieutenant Kate Brooks was one of the humans in the circle. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she concentrated. It feels like something alive touching my mind. That's the blade's consciousness, Sylvana explained from her position among the Elderai volunteers. It remembers 10,000 years of battle. It knows how to guide you. Across from them, Kithara Battle Sister Morgana hissed softly. The memories are intense. I see the old war as if I lived it myself. Dr. Amanda Walsh monitored the energy readings from outside the circle. Brainwave patterns are synchronizing, heart rates matching. This is remarkable, but the process was dangerous. In the past 2 weeks, they had lost 3 volunteers to what Amanda called neural feedback. Their minds simply couldn't handle the connection, and they had to be taken to medical facilities. War Commander Zara Thick watched from the temple entrance. She had tried to join the circle herself, but her mind was too rigid, too focused on individual combat. The blade needed people who could think as one unit. How many successful teams do we have now? Admiral Torres asked. She had come down from the fleet to see the training personally. 7 complete teams, Amanda reported. Each one can channel enough power to destroy multiple Umbrathi. But, the Admiral prompted. The strain is enormous. After 30 minutes of combat, the volunteers are exhausted. Some have collapsed completely. Lisa opened her eyes without breaking the connection. The blade is telling me something. It says, we're still thinking too small. What do you mean? Sylvana asked. The original plan was 12 warriors with 12 blades. But what if one blade could connect to many more people? What if instead of small teams we linked entire ships? Zarathik stepped forward. That would require volunteers to stay connected for hours, maybe days. The mental strain could kill them. Or it could save everyone, Lisa replied. The Umbrathi are getting stronger. Our scouts report they're building something in the void sector. Something massive. Admiral Torres activated her communicator. Command, this is Torres. I need a tactical update on the enemy buildup. The response came from Captain Sarah Mitchell aboard the surveillance ship Deep Watch. Admiral, you need to see this. We've managed to get long-range sensors into the void sector. The temple's crystal walls suddenly displayed an image that made everyone gasp. In the darkness between stars, the Umbrathi had constructed something that defied description. It looked like a wound in space itself, but one that was growing larger. "It's some kind of portal," Mitchell's voice continued. "Energy readings suggest it's connected to somewhere else. Somewhere with a lot more of these creatures." "How many more?" Torres asked, though her voice suggested she didn't want to know. "Billions. Ma'am. Maybe trillions. If that portal opens fully, they could flood the entire galaxy." Silence fell over the temple. Lisa felt the blade pulse with urgent energy. Through their connection, she could sense its growing alarm. The weapon had fought this war before, and it remembered how close they had come to losing everything. "How long before the portal opens?" Zarathik asked. 48 hours, maybe less." Lisa stood up, the starfire blade blazing in her hands. "Then we don't have time for small steps. We need to try the mass connection now." "Lisa, it's too dangerous," Amanda protested. "We don't know what linking hundreds of minds could do to you." "I know what not trying will do to everyone." Lisa replied firmly. "The blade is willing to risk it, are you?" Over the next 6 hours, they worked frantically to modify the temple's systems. Elderly engineers installed life force amplifiers throughout the crystal structure. Kithara technicians connected them to the communication networks of all three fleets. Human scientists monitored every energy reading they could measure. Volunteers came forward from every ship in the system. Not just soldiers and warriors, but engineers, doctors, cooks, and clerks. They all understood what was at stake. "Captain," Kate said quietly as they prepared for the attempt, "if this goes wrong—" "I know," Lisa replied. "But if we don't try, those creatures will devour everything we care about. Earth, Valdris Prime, all of it." Sylvana approached with a group of Eldari mystics. "We've been meditating on the old prophecies. There's something we didn't tell you before." "What?" "The original blade bearer, the one who sealed the prison 10,000 years ago. She didn't die from the effort. She became something else. Something more than mortal." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" Her consciousness merged permanently with the blade. Her life force became part of its power. That's why it could seal the dimensional barriers. "You're saying I might not survive this as myself?" Zarathik joined them, her expression serious. "The old stories say she chose her fate willingly. She became eternal, forever guarding against the darkness." Lisa looked at the sword in her hands. Through their connection, she could sense another presence, ancient, patient, and sad. The original blade bearer was still there, waiting inside the weapon. "Lisa," Amanda said urgently, "the portal is opening faster than predicted. We're out of time." Alarms began sounding throughout the temple. The crystal walls showed the portal in the void sector expanding rapidly. Shadow creatures were already pouring through in numbers that made their previous attacks look tiny. "All ships, prepare for mass mindlink," Admiral Torres commanded over the fleet channels. "Volunteers, report to your designated stations." Lisa walked to the center of the temple, where the amplifiers had been arranged in a complex pattern. Hundreds of small screens showed the faces of volunteers throughout the three fleets. Humans, Eldare and Kithara all looked back at her with expressions of trust and determination. "Are you ready?" she asked them. "Ready, Captain," came the chorus of replies. Lisa raised the starfire blade above her head. "Then let's save our galaxy." She opened her mind to the weapon completely, holding nothing back. The blade's consciousness flowed into her, bringing with it the memories and power of its previous bearer. Lisa felt her own sense of self beginning to blur as thousands of other minds connected through the link. She was Kate, feeling the soldier's determination to protect others. She was Sylvana, experiencing the mystical connection to all living things. She was Zarathik, burning with warrior's pride and honor. She was Amanda, marveling at the scientific impossibility of what they were attempting. The temple blazed with light as power flowed through the connections. Lisa felt herself becoming something larger than human, larger than any individual being. She was the combined will of three species, united against the darkness. Through the fleet's sensors, she could see the Umbrathi portal fully opening. Millions of shadow creatures poured into normal space, led by massive beings that dwarfed anything they had faced before. "Now," Lisa said, with a voice that was her own, and yet belonged to everyone connected to her. "Let's finish what was started 10,000 years ago." The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin,